When someone cheats on you, it has nothing to do with you. No matter how much they say, well, you did this thing once upon a time and you didn't love me in that way, so I sought it outside, I sought it from someone else. No matter how much the blame they put on you, it is a projection of their own self.
Hello, and welcome to Situaseans podcast. I'm your host, Sean Michael Williams, aka seanydoo. You can call me Sean, seanydoo. Does not matter to me. I'm just glad that y'all are here. I have a special guest, and she is also glad that you are here. So, who is my special guest? Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? Y'all are in for a really good surprise and treat for today's episode. I have Rimsha, right? Rimsha Warda?
Yes, that's correct, Sean. Thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. First and foremost, I don't want the guests to have to wait to find out who you are. Tell us, who are you? What do you do?
Oh my God, where do I start? Thank you so much for having me here, first of all. And second, I am so honored to be sharing my wisdom here. I am a healer, and which is very much not what you would have assumed exactly 2 years ago when I was in the Marines as an officer. And then prior to that, as a submarine engineer, I was very much in the masculine world, really seeking validation, right? Seeking validation from the world of my worth as a woman. And a lot of us do that. And that was a beautiful journey for me because I love my inner masculine that's really good at protecting myself. And that's really good at holding space for my intense emotions and intensity as in general. That actually reflects back my current, my partner, which I would love to dive into. I love all things sex, love, relationship, and the dating world. And, we make sense of ourselves through the reflection of other people. So that's the reason why I chose to come into this work, specifically from a perspective of a spiritual healer. And I was born and raised in Pakistan. So dating and loving, and that's not a thing. You don't get married for love. You get married for a status or for support, and because it is what you must do based off of our holy book that I no longer follow. So I grew up in a really, really conservative household, and my journey has really been about liberation and coming back into wholeness and being a sovereign being, meaning the control that is external of us does not actually control us. And so how can you source yourself throughout your entire journey? And that's my purpose on this planet, how to guide women and men through this journey. And I'm super honored to be here and share my wisdom during this process.
Yes, I'm so glad to have you here. And I'm excited for my listeners to learn more about, holistic medicine, holistic therapies, how we can use all of that to kind of find ourselves again, to be one within ourselves. And like our listenership, it's about, it's 70% women and 30% men. And I think like the audiences, they're just going to find this so valuable. So I'm definitely excited to do all this.
Yay, superb.
Yes. So to all the listeners and everyone who's listening and everyone who's watching, I just want to say thank you all for tuning into the podcast. For those of you that are brand new, so some of you have reached out and let me know that you're a new listener. So I just wanted to let y'all know, thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. So, I want y'all to first and foremost subscribe to the Patreon. The Patreon, that has all the exclusive behind the scenes content, bonus episodes, some of the dating app screenshots. So Rimsha, so whenever I go on dates, sometimes if there's like a ghosting that happens on a dating app, I'll post it. I'll post a screenshot there.
That's fun.
Yeah, it gets really fun over in the Patreon. So yes, you all should subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Situaseans podcast. Also, so this podcast is about dating, relationships, mental and emotional life experiences. Ooh, fucking we. And so today, like I said, today we're going to be talking about, being one within yourself, how you can regain your inner confidence, your inner wisdom, your inner love. And, we're going to be unpacking some hinged and unhinged dating app prompts. So Rimsha, so I have a couple people who are on dating apps that will, submit I guess those screenshots of unhinged things that people put on their profile. So I cannot wait to unpack that with you. That's going to be so much fun too. All right. So I guess kind of, switching gears for a second. So, you mentioned that you have a partner, you're currently in a committed relationship. Tell me more about that. How do you all meet, everything?
Oh my God, thank you for asking. Before I should dive into that, I should let you know I went through a really cathartic divorce right before meeting this partner. And he was, part of the reason why I'm mentioning this is because it will be very, very valuable for your viewership. That he was a narcissist, a pathological liar. It was very, very scary for me, and he nearly took my life. And the interesting aspect during that relationship was that he was actually also my biggest gift and my biggest teacher in this lifetime, because he was reflecting back what I believed the love should be in my life, right? So I had to do a lot of digging in and find out what that unconditional love looks like, because my nervous system, my brain, my body actually didn't know it at all. I didn't receive it from my parents. So I perpetuated the same behavior and the same pattern of love that I received from the beginning. And so when you find yourself in those patterns, like, I would urge you to go within and do some self-reflection, because I wouldn't say you're the part of the problem. It's just that your nervous system, your body, and your brilliant mind, it only knows survival. So it will only recreate the same situations that you've known most of your life. So diving into my new relationship after doing so much of my inner work and learning to love myself, which I had no idea, Sean, that I didn't even like myself. I hated myself. In fact, I was like seeking validation from the world. I didn't know, so we believe self-love is this thing with like bubble baths and like how we achieve in this life. But it's like, can you love yourself if you're just a lump on a log? That's what self-love is. Can you love yourself for not attaching yourself to anything that's worthy of you or or part of your identification, right? My work, my lineage, my color, my being a woman. If I lost all of it and stripped myself of all of it, can you still love yourself? And that's what the love's capacity is. And until you can have that, your partner will not reflect that love. And so the man that I'm with, oh my God, he's my king. I worship this man as if he's my God, and he worships me like I'm his goddess. And the level of integrity and loyalty and love and support that we have for each other is something that I had never seen before. And that has kind of been my path. It was like growing up saying, this is not it, this is not it. And I had to somehow figure out what is it, and then recreating it so that other people can kind of use me as an example to see what is possible for them. It's kind of like the 4-mile run, right? The 4-minute miler, right? Once you see it, everybody can do it. It's kind of like that. I've been walking my path as a leader, as a stepping stone. Like, please, world, watch me and see that it's also possible for you. You can come out of like really, really abusive relationships and actually be with a king. And that's what my partner, Matthew, is. I love him so dearly. And, I also want to mention that when I say wholeness, what I mean is that every human being on earth has a dual poles inside of them, meaning the inner masculine, inner feminine, right? So any part of it that is imbalanced, your relationship and your work and everything that you do in this lifetime will reflect that back. So I had to create a really, really strong inner masculine to support how feminine that I am, right? The feminine is very chaotic. The feminine energy is pure storm. It is pure intuitive, and it lives in the dark. It lives in the mystic. But that's also where birth happens, right? And when I say birth, I don't mean literal life. What I mean is like that's where artistic abilities come from. That's where creations happen. So the feminine energy is really powerful, but if it does not have sacred structure, kind of like this podcast, you sent me the script. I was like, oh my God, I'm so turned on. It's so amazing that you have a script. You have like this support of this script that you kind of follow along there so that you can have the space for you to just go with it and have fun and support what you're creating. So, I just wanted to bring that up, that duality. And me and my partner are really like, that's what we consistently work on. So that has inspired him to be more in his feminine and like harness his feminine energy. Not to mention, he's highly masculine, and he's a Marine. He's also a Marine, been in for 13 years. So you can see how just powerful he is. And then on the other hand, he has this ability to be vulnerable. And that's what women crave, right?
Yeah.
Emotional support. They crave a man who can feel.
Yes.
And so I have it, and I'm so blessed to be in that relationship.
Love that. Go all the way the fuck off. We love that. Wow. And also thank you for your service, and to your partner, thank you for your service as well. Like, wow. Trying to improve your skincare game? Guess what? I got a little something for you. You can improve the health of your skincare with the Vogue approved. Yes, you heard that right. Vogue as in Vogue magazines, the models. Yes, that Vogue. The Vogue approved beauty product, Herbal Face Food, the most potent anti-aging, multi-correction skincare product on the market. Yes. So hit that link in the show notes or video description and use our code SPHFF to get 20% off at checkout. Visit herbalfacefood.com to get started. That's herbalfacefood.com. All right. And use code S as in Sam, P as in pineapple, H as in Henry, F as in Frank, F as in Frank to get 20% off at checkout. That's SPHFF to get 20% off. All right. herbalfacefood.com. Okay. Y'all got the hookup. So let them know that Situaseans podcast sent you. All right. Tell us, like, what city are you all based in right now?
We are currently in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and but we're moving to Hawaii this year, which is really, really exciting. It's like our dream home. We're building a home there, and we're hoping to start a new life there.
Wow, that is amazing. Well, you know, when you all get married, we're going to manifest this. Well, one of my friends has actually been saying we'll manifest, so I like that better. So we're going to we'll manifest this. I better get an invite to the wedding.
I'll put you in the list. If you make the commute, absolutely come by Hawaii. You are welcome anytime.
Yes. Yeah. And you know, I'm glad that you were able to, you know, like find your forever partner again, you know, like after like the divorce and everything. And I know, you know, divorces are never easy. Speaking from someone who's also divorced, to make a very long story short, my ex-wife, she had cheated on me a month before the wedding, but and so I didn't even know until, I guess, you know, she had told me, because the guy who she was cheating on me with, he first started DMing her on Instagram, and then they were just meeting up, sending nudes, all this other stuff. And he was like, well, if you don't keep, you know, meeting up, if you don't keep sending nudes, I'm going to tell your guy what you're doing. So she just kind of like was backed into a corner and then just came out and told me. And I was like, well, like, you know, we're like a month out from the wedding, you know, so I kind of just stuck with it and went through with the whole wedding and everything. Cause I was like, well, we've known each other for about, you know, 5-6 years prior. We were dating, you know, like for so long. Our families are close. The wedding's paid off, and I just went through with it. But if I had to go back, I definitely would have just, you know, not have gone through with it, because we were only married for 2 years. The first year, I just could not trust her. The second year, I tried my best to, you know, trust and forgive and forget. But even like the marriage counselor that we were seeing just was like, yeah, if one of you isn't all the way in, it's not going to work. And, you know, and I just wasn't all the way in because I was just so hurt and I couldn't trust. But yeah, so, you know, I wish that I, you know, had your words of wisdom back then to see, you know, to like see how I could like, you know, like navigate all of that. Because even just checking out your website, you have so many things on your site that, you know, that pretty much explains everything that you are and everything that you do. And even like the fun facts. So even like I said, like, you know, you were born and raised in Pakistan, and then, you know, and then also you hold a degree in mechanical aerospace engineering. Like, that is amazing. Can you share with us about that? Like, that's awesome.
Sure, I'll share that. But before I do, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry what you went through. I can so relate to that. my marriage ended 1 month into it because of the same exact reason.
Oh
You know,
no.
it was finding out there was so much infidelity. Like during our dating period, I was gone for like 2 weeks to Maine to do some inner healing work, and while I was on my healing journey, he just was like slept with what, 7 8, I don't know, a lot of women, and deeply regretted it. But that didn't, the hurt is real. Like the hurt for ourselves is very very real, and I got to learn a lot about myself through that process. And I actually am proud of you for honoring yourself, for realizing, like, no, I'm not all the way in with somebody that I cannot trust. Trust is literally the core value of a relationship. So I totally feel you, brother, man. I've been there, and I was like so regretted it until I was like, no, this contract needed to happen in order for me to see how far I can go to fight for it. And I did, just like you, fought for it until it was like, he's not changing and I'm still doing my healing work.
Yeah.
I'm still doing the work on myself, but he's not. So it was not aligned. And in your case, you realize that forgiveness was hard. Forgiveness is really hard. And not only forgiveness, but like, how do you trust the other person? It can be very, very, very difficult. And trust your own self and the decisions you're making and your own intuition, right? Like, oh my gosh, how could I not see that? It can be so hard. So I totally, totally feel you there. As far as engineering goes, yeah. I was like 17 years old, and I was like, what is the hardest thing that I can study? Like, I just wanted to be challenged my whole life. I wanted to know what I was made of, and I guess that makes sense why I joined the Marines afterwards too. It was like, okay, what's the next hard thing? And aerospace engineering, nothing's harder than rocket science. And it was a very, very difficult 4 years in college. I was also working 3 jobs.
Wow.
And it was very difficult. I will never forget just being on the bus, going to job, and like studying and trying to. Oh, it was horrible, shot. I don't recommend it. But it really, I will say, people, ask me like, all these things that you've done, how are you not like, why are you not pursuing those degrees? Because you'll make tons of money. And yes, I would. However, what they're not realizing is that I actually use every single thing that I've learned in my current work, especially the critical thinking that I have is so sharp. Like, I give that full credit to being an engineer and having that, that education that has allowed me to do so much problem solving, that now my second nature is to critically think and critically solve problems. And I apply that not only in, in educational aspect, but also in my life. Like, when there's critical situations, I know how to like come back into like clarity and resource from my inner masculine, and instead of being emotional, think from that space and be rational, and then give that emotional space later. So I would say that very much so. And then I learned a lot about quantum physics in engineering, and hello, that's all the work that I do, which is quantum leaping. Quantum leaping is like the infinite possibilities we all live in. And I learned that actually firsthand in engineering school. And I remember sitting back like, oh my gosh, this is life. And like, my professor totally did not get it. I'm like, wait, this is our life. We live in infinite possibilities. Every day you choose a positive thought, you create a new reality. Every time you say, men are good, I am worthy of being with men who are good, who can hold space for me emotionally, you're creating a reality. If you constantly go on dating apps and like trying to swipe right and judge the shit out of people, or like constantly say no good men out there, no good men out there, but you're still on dating apps and are still searching for the love of your life, like, good fucking luck. You're not gonna find it. You're creating a reality that doesn't even like match with what your actual energy that you're carrying, So this is the work that I do, is like very much embedded in from the work that I learned, the initial theories that I learned in engineering field.
Wow, that is amazing. Again, go all the way the fuck off. Speaking of go all the way to fuck off, get your go all the way to fuck off t-shirt. If you're watching, you will see the t-shirt pop up here. Go to situationspodcast.com, click on the merch tab, and get your go all the way to fuck off t-shirt. But yeah, no, that's just amazing. Like that you are taking all of these past life experiences and applying it to, like your present, and you're helping so many people too with, the things that they're going through. And so, yeah. And I think also I saw that you mentioned that you traveled to over 24 countries. Like, what is that like? And also, the experience, that must be so cool. And then on top of that, Oh my goodness! Like, what do you like? I'm gonna need to work for you so that I can afford to travel to 24 countries.
Believe it or not, I was 17 years old when I was doing that, and I had no money in my pocket. So I was broke as shit, very ambitious, very wounded, very in my wounded feminine, and like looking for answers. As I mentioned earlier, I create paths for people. I want to lead by example. Although I didn't know it at the time, all I knew was that I didn't want to be in pain anymore. I wanted to be in safe relationships and create safety within myself because I hadn't known in my whole life. So my first travels was to Nepal, and the way I actually afforded to travel to most places was because through woofing and workaways. Because I didn't have a lot of money, what it does is that workaway projects allows you to not only build new skill sets while you're traveling in different places and contribute to the community, but they give you like free housing and free food, which is like all you need for survival. So I was young and ambitious, and I was like, fuck it, like I'm moving to Iceland and I'm gonna work as a dog sledding handler. And I don't know what that entails, but I'll just make it happen. So, and a lot of hitchhiking, and I think like wherever, how do they say, like there's a will, there's a way. That absolutely, like for me, that was traveling. Like I wanted to know what else is out there in the world, because what I had known growing up in the ghettos, and then we're in a violent country, and then coming in and growing up in the ghettos where there was like no ambition, people were suffering for valid reasons, like absolute valid reasons.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to change my environment, so traveling certainly helped me with that.
Wow, that's amazing. And do you have any upcoming travel plans for this year as well? Besides Hawaii,
Yes.
moving to Hawaii.
Yes, I am traveling to Costa Rica this June, and I'll be in a retreat. It's a sex, love, and relationship retreat with my teacher Layla Martin, and oh my god, I am so excited. So I hold women's circles myself, and actually today will be the first circle, whereas men, I'm holding it in Richmond, Virginia, and also online tomorrow. It's called the Sacred Rage Ceremony, and it will be with also other men included. So I'm really excited to include men in this process and doing that work together, so that we can see that, like we're totally in this together to overcome the difficulties of being a human being, having this soul experience. But yeah, I'm going to Costa Rica for that reason, to do that retreat. And then I'm also a medicine woman. I work with indigenous medicine. So I'll be serving at a retreat, combo medicine, which is very much a warrior medicine, not easy at all, but very, very beautiful for people who suffer from trauma. So my travels are now like geared towards service and also expansion. So I know I used to travel with no intention, but now I go in with like, okay, what am I here to do? I'm not here to be a tourist. I'm here to serve the community, or I really shouldn't be here. So it's definitely has shifted big time now for me.
All right. Wow. Love it. Love it. Love it. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, can you do me a really quick favor? Can you please rate and review this podcast? Like hit that 5-star review, because I do read all the reviews because this helps me know how this podcast is helping others and how this podcast is serving you, because my job as a host is to serve you this podcast the way that you would prefer it to be. Tell me something about your thoughts on the dating scene out there in Virginia. Is it, hinged, or is it unhinged? like from what you hear and see from your friends or whatever, or even before your current relationship, what is it like out there?
Shit can fire. I tried the whole dating app thing, and I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. I think something about an app where you're not having a personal interaction just quite yet, we see people so differently, and it inspires like very perverted conversations too. Like you're not like the way I feel like most men or women would interact with each other would be so different firsthand. Say, for example, if they met up at a bar or a library or wherever, or on beach. I don't know why I said library. I guess I have met someone in a library before and went on a date with them right after. So that's probably why. But on dating apps, I feel like people don't, man, it's just not good. I am not a fan of dating apps. But what I will say is that if you have the right energy, you can still, attract the right person through it. I've certainly met individuals that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I got to link up with you and connect with you through this. And even though we're not dating anymore, we can still be friends and be part of each other's circle because there's so much happening here. And also the lack of vulnerability, I don't, every single caption or the bio is like so superficial. Like people need to be more real, if dating apps could be, okay, nobody can see me, they haven't met me yet, so let me be just real here so people can see like a true version of me. That would probably be a much better start of a conversation rather than like, Jim, and I like pizza, I have a dog.
Right, exactly. Yeah. My unpopular opinion, pineapples don't belong on pizza. It's like, come on, let's do better, y'all.
Yeah, exactly.
So are there any interesting like or funny or fun dating like experiences from the past that you want to share with our audience?
Well, I'll share two. One with my husband now, and then the second one with this guy I met at the library. Again, well, did you ask about on dating app, or in person?
It could be either or. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell you two. So first, I met somebody while I was in college on a dating app, and when I swiped right on him, we matched. And this is so stupid. We were still in college, right? I didn't know he was actually living in the same building. And same major, but like 2 years ahead of me. So I was downstairs in the computer lab, and I'm like doing this like AutoCAD, trying to design this like weapon that we had an assignment for. And this guy looks at me, and then his buddy looks at me, and then his another buddy looks at me, and it's like four men just with their heads out, and I'm like, can I help you? I was so confused. And they pulled out their phone, and he was like, is this you? I just matched with you 5 minutes ago. It was so awkward. And he ended up actually helping me with that design because he had done it as an assignment 2 years prior. So basically that guy, I guess our official first date was him helping me with my homework. And we ended up becoming really good friends. We did not officially date, but it was the funniest thing. I'm like, I just matched with you and you're sitting right next to me. So awkward. You don't want to run it. Like, you get so excited about matching with people, but it's like, you don't want to actually run it into them.
Exactly. Yes.
And the second one, I'll tell you how I met my husband, actually, not through dating apps, but in the Marine Corps, we have this thing called the obstacle course race. And he's really tall. You look like a tall guy. I'm 4'10". I'm tiny, okay? I couldn't reach it. So I kept failing this obstacle course. I would do every single obstacle fine, but I kept failing the first one where you had to reach up the bar and then go over it. And I couldn't reach up the bar. So because I kept failing, my commanding officer assigned me an instructor, and that was my current husband. That's how I met him. I met him for like 10 minutes, and for 10 minutes while he did assessment on me. And then he told me, like, listen, ma'am, you can't jump like LeBron James overnight. And I'm so sorry what you're going through, but your command has to use like a sandbag or something for you to stand on. 3 years later, he went through his own little hell as I did. And when we met, it was like, oh my gosh, you have been my person all along. It's like we both needed to walk our path to become more whole and have some, create more internal safety and internal love before we could realize, like, oh my gosh, it's been you the whole time. So had no idea. Would have never thunk this man that I met 3 years ago, because I kept failing. I felt so much shame when I met him too, because I was like, I don't fail at things and I'm failing at this. And now we're together, and it's such a funny story now for both of us. That's how we met.
Wow. That's just so cool. And it just goes to show that the universe just places people in our path.
Yes. So true. 100%. Yes. It's never a
Absolutely.
coincidence.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, so you're a healer and and an expert in the holistic medicine, and I just want to kind of know, like, how did you first, like, I guess, get involved in these like specific like practices? You kind of like shared a little bit about it in the beginning, but I kind of want to go deeper. Like, when was it like you woke up and you was like, okay, this is it. This is it.
Yeah, absolutely. My whole life, it's like I was being directed in different careers, but the path that was the most clear and the one that I avoided the most was the spiritual path. Growing up, I was obsessed with God. I was obsessed with universal power. I had so much respect, and I could see the power in, something that's bigger than myself. This is like a 6-year-old talking, like very much like deep in my spirituality, and I also was a very sensitive being. So I felt I could walk into a room and feel people's energies, and I could also see the demons they're battling, and being able to really see through people was part of my gift, which I believe for a long time was a curse. So the work that I do is very much aligned, and my clients come to me when they are suffering, when they are stuck in like a limiting belief, or they're dealing with trauma or of any sort, and for me the work is very like fluid, meaning I don't prep for it, I don't have like specific tools for it. It's like intuitively guided. I connect with your spiritual guides, your spirit family, and your spirit animals, and then we guide you through that process of healing, in a very rapid way. So I call it quantum leaping, and you go through it a lot faster. With men specifically, and women too, actually, I hold kambo ceremonies. Kambo is a frog medicine that comes from the Amazon jungle, and the way I found it was I had a lot of gut health issues. I had insomnia, anxiety, complex PTSD, and when I found kambo, it was like a 911 prayer for me. It was like nothing's working, and I don't want to die, so I reached out to kambo, and when I sat in a ceremony, not only like it changed my life in a rapid way, I started getting solid sleep. I started anxiety took a little bit longer to go away, but it was so crazy. Like this indigenous medicine that just you basically purge for like 20 minutes. You're purging. You can purge energetically. You're puking, and very much like feels like an ayahuasca experience without the psychedelic aspect of it. And my life started to change externally. So what's actually the medicine is doing is that it's when trauma penetrates your field, it also physically manifests itself, and that's where people starts to have diseases, discomforts, and that is the trauma that has now physically taken place in your physical body. And so Kambo helps clear that out, shut that away, and when that energy is like released and the disease is released, it's so cool to see how the external life starts to change. For me, it was around money, it was around my self-worth and self-love, and Kambo really, really helped me with that. And another thing is Kambo gets you out of your head and brings you into the body, and the trauma lives in the body and not the mind. The mind is only influenced because it's freaking out over all the shit that's here. So it's really, really good, especially when I work with men. It's great to start there because we're so used to being in our heads, because we're told, like, God forbid you feel anything, right? It's not right. Emotions are not good. If you're a man, especially, you're a provider. There's a lot of pressure on the masculine, and I have deep, deep compassion for them. And then I also use it for women, especially around sexual trauma and any like gut health issues that they have. So it's been such a powerful medicine to work with. I also have, different containers that I am currently in the process of launching. And that's all like my collective education that I've had in the healing world. I'm putting it all together and creating it. And it is for people to manifest their dream partner, their queen, their king, and how to do that by doing the work internally, right? Because everything outside of you is like a mirror of you. It's teaching you about you. It has nothing to do with others. So if you get triggered, well, it's got to do with you. It has nothing to do with that other person. So really using those universal laws and principles and guiding people through that healing process, and then manifesting the partner of their life so they can go and have fun, have the best sex of their life, best love of their life, and just really enjoy their life through that process. So that's something in the process that I'm currently building, and I'm really excited for it.
Yes. Wow. All right. Go all the way the fuck off. You will hear me say that often because that is my catchphrase. Because, like, because whenever I have a guest on and they really drop some really deep, knowledgeable, insightful information, oh my goodness. It really like resonates with me first and foremost. And I know like the audience, they love that as well. And so, yeah, like even like these practices, I do have a question. So like, how can one get a hold of what is the serum that you had mentioned? It was like frog something. What is it called?
Yeah, Kambo medicine. Kambo is Kambo. You can look it up. There's research on it. It's actually the medicine I chose to work with because it's legal in the US. So that's part of the reason so I can work with veterans as well.
Wow. All right. And so it sounds like, it's definitely making a difference in so many of your clients' lives.
Yes.
Love that.
Yes. And I source my medicine from my teacher who goes to the journal to harvest it. And these frogs are like, they're one of the only species on the planet that nobody can hurt because of their how do you say it? Like the sweat that they excrete is like it's so toxic that other animals don't want to eat this frog. And the way we use it is through like a tiny burn on your skin through incense, and it doesn't hurt. It's super tiny, and then we put the medicine on the skin through which it goes into your body and then clears you out. So you don't ingest it. You don't, it just plays on your body for like 20 minutes, and then we wipe off. I'm really excited to go to actually Peru myself to harvest the medicine and connect with the medicine of the frog, because oh my gosh, it's not just like physically changing, but there's like definitely a spirit to this that every client that I've had, whether they're spiritual or not, will experience like, whoa, like the connection to their self, connection to their ancestors, and the support that they have. So many of us feel so alone in this world. And the medicine can help you tap into like the support that you actually have from many different people, and also your ancestors and your lineage and the spirit guides that you have in your family. So really beautiful medicine.
Wow. Yeah. That is just so amazing. And so, how can like somebody regain like their inner confidence, self-love and wisdom by, using like these different healing therapies and practices?
I would say if you really want to date someone awesome, somebody that's aligned with you, spend time alone.
Yeah.
Don't chase, magnetize, don't chase, work on yourself, be on your path, and really learn as much as you can about yourself. Who are you? Where are you coming from? What are you holding on to? What level of love that you have for yourself? So my practices are very much somatic, which is like I help clients drop into their body and excavate parts of themselves that are no longer serving them, right? So we call this like shadow work, right? Like helping them see their shadows, where they have blind spots. The inner confidence has so much to do with your own capacity to love every part of you, meaning you can't shame your way through healing. You can't hate your way through healing. So you have to bring love to those parts of yourselves. And you can do it actually through meditation, through yoga, through dancing, and like really like experiencing it in your body. For me personally, I started to live my life as if I already had that dream partner.
Yeah.
And every day I really embodied what that would feel like to have that king, what that support would look like, what kind of breakfast I would have, what kind of tea I would drink. I even bought like two. It's so crazy. Me and my partner, Matthew, like we still have the same mugs that I bought. Like legitimately 1 week before I met him, I bought these two mugs. I'm like moving out to Utah at the time. And I'm like, I'm going to buy these two mugs because something tells me this is for him and this is for me. And I love my morning coffee. So I bought those and I would just look at them and I would get so excited and drink coffee out of it as if in the other cup there's coffee for my person. And actually me and him still drink coffee out of those mugs. And so really like embodying the experience that you want to call in, and inner confidence has, again, like you can't hate your way through healing, and you can't hate your way through the level of love that you want to build for yourself. What it means is that if there's something I don't like about myself, let me bring love into those areas and see the gift in it. If I'm lazy, let me tap into the laziness. What is the gift in my laziness, right? What is a gift in all these things that other people would call not so great, right? Not so great traits, because everybody's out to judge each other. So how can I just bring self-love rather than judgment in those areas? But yes, of course, there's just a lot of practices to this, but I'm just trying to give some examples to give you a picture of what that could look like.
Absolutely. And even going back to what you were saying, like, yeah, you can't like, hate your way through that process. One thing that I think some folks would kind of have a hard time processing or going through it I guess is like, let's say if someone's going through kind of like, infidelity, and that kind of like leads to like, like that next question that we kind of have, like, yeah, so what are like, like your thoughts on infidelity? Like how do we, go through all of this?
Ah, yes. I love talking about infidelity because I've been on both sides of it. And I got to learn intimately about what that entails, because I had to do so much inner work. So first, when someone cheats on you, it has nothing to do with you. No matter how much they say, well, you did this thing once upon a time and you didn't love me in that way, so I sought it outside, I sought it from someone else. No matter how much the blame they put on you, I would it is a projection of their own self. So it has nothing to do with you. So when people cheat on their partners, it has actually nothing to do with their partner. It is about them. It was the same for me. It was the same for my ex-husband when he cheated on me. He blamed me for a lot of things, but really I got to see that he was a wounded little boy who deeply wanted validation from the feminine. And he also did not like the way he looked, even though he was basically a walking model. He has so much insecurities that the way if women validated him, that was enough for him. So when I tap into infidelity, when I think about what that experience, and I also teach that to my clients, is that it has nothing to do with you. Now, however, if you're on the other hand where you are finding yourself cheating on your partner, you're thinking about it, go within and ask yourself, why is it that I feel the need to source something outside of myself from somebody else other than someone that I'm fully committed to?
Right.
Do I lack the ability to communicate? And why do I lack the ability to communicate my needs? Right? And why are these needs cannot be met by myself? And why is it that I'm going out of my way to do this, right? And oftentimes infidelity is also like a self-hate thing. It is a huge indication of somebody who doesn't love themselves, right? That was very much prominent for me, was that I did not know my own worth, so I sought it outside of myself. So, for those of you who have gone through it, like men and women, well, we all lose so much confidence because we feel like I was not enough. And so she must have gone out to seek it outside of herself, or I must have not been enough or pretty enough or successful enough, so he went out of his way to seek it somewhere else. But that has nothing to do with you. Please don't take it personally. Go back to source that love within yourself, and congratulations, you just learned something beautiful and big about that person that you were with. So that's my view on infidelity. It really has nothing to do with you. It is a reflection of our own internal world. And when you lose that, you'll seek it outside of yourself, and that has something to do with you. And when I go into that state, even now, I'm like, wow, why am I feeling this way? Right? And I realize like, oh, because I'm feeling crunchy feelings and I don't want to sit with these yucky feelings. So I'm trying to find support from whoever that's around me. And I always have to like go within and realize who I have, and my gosh, what a king I have, and then tap back into the queen. And then once you can tap back into the inner queen and the inner goddess, then you can tap into that child inside of you that has these crunchy feelings, these uncomfortable feelings, and then hold space for that child to exist and express without me not thinking anything at all and just making decisions that I will regret for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And even when people find themselves in those moments of like, okay, yeah, I'm like, my partner was, was cheating on me, and now I need to like move on to the next thing. The people, I just want to say, like, I think whenever somebody finds like that self-love and that self-power to just, leave and move on to the next thing, yeah, like that speaks volumes, because it's like, okay, like, yeah, like even though they're going through a certain situation, they are going to take that experience and they're going to, move on, and they're going to okay, yeah, I know what I want. I know what I want. I know what I deserve, and I do not deserve this. So I'm going to, go move on to the next. So I definitely love how you phrased all of that. And yeah, it's important to know what it is that we value within ourselves and what we value, within the partners and the people that we want to surround ourselves with. So for sure.
Situaseans podcast is an open platform covering dating, relationships, mental and emotional life experiences. If you are looking to advertise your brand or product, or would like to sponsor the show, send an email to situaseanspod@gmail.com. That's situaseanspod@gmail.com.
Yeah, so you're a love, sex, and relationship coach and training. So I definitely want to unpack this one as well. So, tell me more about this one, and also, how did you kind of I guess jump into this? Was you just like, you know what, this is another thing that I want to take on? Because you already take on like a million different things. So I'm like, okay, she's like adding on another thing. All right, come on, let's do that. Yeah, that's awesome. So how did you do it?
Well, first of all, they look different, but they're all come together. They're all the same. So when somebody comes up to me about their relationship issues, we're going to target your inner child wounds. We're going to go back in time. We're going to excavate those parts of you. So what I chose to go into, because I kept seeing a pattern in my clients that they all were, the biggest struggle, the source of their struggles were sex, love, and relationships. Right. And that was the thing that was like really what they were seeking. But it had everything to do with their inner wounds and their past lives. So I saw that, okay, I think this is the world that I want to go into, because one, I had to do that work within myself. So I walked that path, and I walked that path with so much grace and so much love with myself, and really realizing that, so many of us, that's all we want. Honestly, every single human being on earth, no matter the purpose, no matter where you come from, that's all you want, is the one person that you want to live your life with and experience love in this lifetime. So realizing that and seeing the pattern in my clients, I chose to go into that field. And I also had a lot of childhood sexual trauma. So it was like, okay, when I go through this coaching training, I get to walk that path intimately with myself first, and walk in the darkness alone myself first. And then I can do that with my clients. And of course, again, for me, it's really important that I walk that path and I understand the pain intimately before I can help someone else. So that's why I chose to go into it. My teacher is Layla Martin. I love this coaching program. It has been so life-changing. I thought I went in to have amazing orgasms, and I'm having that. And I'm also having a lot of cathartic pain opening up and seeing like, oh my gosh, in all the places where I was holding pain in my body. And most of us are not really like present in our bodies. So that has been a beautiful journey for me to learn to be in my heart, learn to be in my womb, and experience my body and not be afraid of the things that are stored in there, so that I can, one, bring loving awareness, and then heal those aspects of myself that can reflect then externally in my relationships with my partner and my family. It's been really, really powerful. I love what I'm doing with this work, and I'm really excited for what is going to be birthed through this coaching. So I'm really excited. I'm not done yet. I have like entire year left. It's a long training, but I'm really excited where I'm going with it.
Amazing. Have you ever thought about writing your own book? Or maybe you already have a book and I just didn't know.
I am working on 2 book projects, actually. Thanks for asking.
All right.
One of them is with a veteran, actually. We're collecting like 7 to 8 stories of people and their life stories. So I'll be writing that. And then another one that I'm working on my own. And that one is going to actually have not only my personal experiences, but also healing tools and journal prompts and meditations and practices that people can actually follow along. And if they've had similar experiences, then they can use those practices to make a difference in their lives right there and then.
Wow. That is amazing as well. And you know what? When your book comes out, I got to have you back on the podcast so we can definitely talk about that as well.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I do kind of want to ask another question here, and because this is something that's very new to me that I'm just barely getting an understanding of, and so one of my friends recently mentioned Reiki, Reiki therapy, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. What is it? I'm trying to understand, I guess, what goes into that, and is that something that's for me, or can I go out and get an appointment? How does this all work?
Yeah, Reiki healing. Yeah, man, that stuff is powerful. Actually, we all have natural Reiki healing through our hands. So everything is energetic, right? And you can notice it when you touch animals or when animals touch you. You can feel it when kids touch you, especially when your loving partner, when he or she brings love to you, you can feel that. But people who are trained as Reiki healers, which I am one of them, you are in tune with the energy of the source itself. So it's not my energy anymore. It is directly from God or source or whatever you want to call it. And it is really powerful. So what we do is we work with your 7 main chakras, right? So your crown, your third eye, and then your throat and the rest of them. And everything that you're creating is through that space of the energy portals that you have. So meaning if your heart chakra is blocked, well, yeah, you're going to have a hard time loving or receiving love, right? If your third eye is closed, you're going to have a hard time having discernment or having intuition, right? And then if your root is your pelvic area, the chakra there, right, your sacral chakra, if that's blocked, then you're going to have a hard time being creative. You're going to have a hard time feeling grounded, and you're going to lack sense of security. So all of those chakras are linked with the actual human experience that we get to live. And so as energy healers, Reiki energy healers, we can actually go in and tune off, release those blockages, and all the client has to do is receive. And I can actually also do it from distance. So all I have to do is see your body laying down, and I can do that work. It is really, really, really powerful. There's a really good book on it. It's called The Intention Experiment. I highly recommend it for those of you who feel doubtful about energy work. It is really, really powerful. They specifically studied in the 80s energy healers and specifically Reiki healers, and see what actually happens to the subject when that energy is being infused. You do have to get trained in it, and the training is actually another Reiki master would tune you with that energy. Yeah, it's for me specifically was powerful because I am very sensitive to people's energy. So if I would touch you, for example, on your head, I will pick up on your energy and it would highly affect me. So now that I have Reiki attunement, I can touch people and provide healing without taking on anything. So it feels like this blanket over me that's a protection as well. So for those of you who are sensitive out there, whether you want to work with Reiki or not, I would highly recommend getting attuned because it will be a huge protection for you.
All right. Thank you for clearing that up for us. And this is kind of I guess a kind of, I don't know, a question from within that I just thought of. But so I know that there are people out there that kind of have doubts about holistic medicine versus I guess modern medicine, I guess the doubters or whatever. How. And I think this is kind of what really, I guess, almost upsets me, because I'm just my thoughts is, well, hold on, these holistic medicines have been around since the beginning of civilization. Right. How is somebody going to how are people so easy to just write off these ancient practices versus modern medicine? So what would you say to somebody who is hey, you know what? I don't know if holistic healing is for me. What would you say to kind of guide somebody, to get somebody to be open and optimistic to it?
Yeah, I guess you have to be open-minded for things like that, which is kind of a shock, right? Like you said, it is these practices have been around since the beginning of times. I'm a shaman in practice, right? I work with medicines and I am very attuned with the spiritual world, but shamanism was there long before Christianity or any religion existed.
Exactly.
right? These are like ancient healing tools. So that is like the first argument right there. And the ancient tools actually were connected to nature, meaning we didn't band-aid, our problems. What we did was we excavated and went to the root of it through plant medicines, right? And then also just plants in general and animal medicines and energy healing. So we back then we were so attuned with nature as being our source of medicine. And even like the way the birth, I'm not actually, let me know, just not even go into birthing process in America. It is horrible. It's not, it's so disempowering, right? So, but I also don't want to, I want to say that, we're very lucky to be in a time where we can actually not only have access to the ancient medicine and also modern and put them both together, which I use both. Like I do not demonize either. They're both perfect in its own way, but I would also just question everything you do, especially around severe trauma. Like, are you here band-aiding your problems because the Western world puts you in a box of bipolar or all sorts of like mental health, problems? You're not a problem. You're not a walking problem. Let me just say that first of all. And the second, there's solutions. There's medicine out there all over the world, and specifically with shamanism, it's like these are healing modalities that were there somehow, even though we didn't have communication, we didn't have like import export systems. People, in my part of the world, in the Middle East, had the same exact wisdom as the Scandinavian. They had their own specific plants, but we had the same knowledge that we were all using because we were connected to nature. We listened to Mother Earth. Mother Earth is hurting for a reason. She is a reflection of the depth of disconnection that we have with ourselves, right? That's absolutely the reason for it. And I really, really feel it. So I urge people that, I'm sure antidepressants help you, but all they're doing is to numb you, right? A lot of my clients come to me because they're like, I'm done feeling numb. I rather feel like hell than feel numb at all. So, if you can go within and then really like find the root of it, because most often than not, especially in our generation, we are the 7th generation in the United States since colonization. And what that means is like it is time that we're waking up. It is time that we're questioning things. And we are the generations that's doing that. In shamanism, they say, everything that you do affects 7 generations before and 7 generations after. And we are the 7 generations, meaning we are the new ancestors. We are the ones paving the new way. So I would highly recommend people, give it a try and meet your wholeness through these practices rather than just like succumbing to, agents and medicine and drugs that essentially just numb you. And like urge you to also seek support. People need people. You don't need just pills down your fucking throats. People need people and their support. And like, especially when I host ceremonies, it is so powerful to see men and women coming together and knowing that we all have the same cause and suffering from the same thing. And how can we, go through the healing process together? So you're not alone. And I would urge you to at least give it a try and see what you experience before you come to a conclusion.
Wonderful. Yeah. If you all out there are receiving this, yes, definitely like look into this, be optimistic, be open, because like, we are the generation of information. We're the Google generation. It doesn't take too much.
Exactly.
Yeah. It only takes 2 seconds to Google, to find these different, healing practices, to find like these different other like, connections, groups. There's so much technology out there to get us to connected. So utilize that. Yes. Are you ready to get into some unhinged or hinged dating app prompts?
Oh, dear God. Let's do it.
All right. All right. So I got a few here, and so again, I get so many of these submissions about these hinged or unhinged dating app prompts. And these, I think I tried to find the ones that would align most with this like kind of content and episode. I think these are good. So I think most of these are leaning towards the good side, but we'll see. All right. So this first one says, together we could throw a dart at a map to choose where we're exploring next. Hinged, green flag, unhinged, red flag, deal breaker. They want to just throw a dart, and wherever it lands, we're traveling to.
Oh, am I picking a place or green? Yeah, definitely a green flag.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, absolutely. That's super fun. That's super exciting.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think this one definitely speaks to, like you, because you travel so much, and like me, I've only traveled internationally a couple times. Like I'm nowhere near 24 countries. I'm like maybe 3. So, but yeah, definitely I agree. That is a green flag. My only thing is, what if they throw a dart and it's like in the middle of the ocean? Like, do they just go there?
And you're going scuba diving, baby.
Yes, exactly.
You're going diving. I mean, God, I wish for me it would land in like Jamaica, or like my eyes are on Jamaica or Haiti. These days, I'm like, man, that's what's next for me, if I can make it happen soon.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I would love to like that's like also my list as well. Haiti. I love the culture from like what I hear about it. Yeah, yes. Exactly.
The food, the grooves. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. And also just want to, explore like, I guess like my lineage, because we're French Creole, so Haitian. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Awesome.
So this next one says, the best way to ask me out is by visiting me in my dreams at 3 a.m. Is this hinged or unhinged?
Totally hinged. Why the fuck not? Show up in my dreams. Listen, before I met Matthew, I totally were having dreams about him. Didn't quite see his face, but I did have visitation. So yeah, why not? Why not? It's a little creepy. I like it.
All right. Cool. Love
it. Kind of fun, waking up in the middle of the night like, ooh, that's my man. Okay. Yes. Telepathically speaking with me.
Exactly. And then like you go to the person, like just imagine like somebody going up to to somebody that they have a crush with or whatever. And then they're like, we're already dating because you already asked me out in my dreams. All right. It's going to go either two ways, like, all right, or wait, what?
I think it would, I mean, listen, if you're adventurous, it might excite you. It's like, okay.
Exactly.
Guess we're dating. Let's find out what happens.
Exactly. Yes, like this is kind of on the wave of like, like that spiritual dimension. So yeah, I like it.
I'm about it.
So this last one says, I won't shut up about how amazing meditation and cannabis is. Hinged or unhinged?
Hinged.
Yes.
Definitely hinged. Yeah, that's a good combo. Highly recommend people doing that.
Emphasis actually. Right, exactly. Emphasis on highly.
Yes, definitely do that for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you to the listeners for submitting those prompts. I really appreciate it. Rimsha, she appreciates you all submitting this and having us unpack this. And and I want to say thank you, Rimsha, so much for coming onto the podcast, giving all the knowledge, and just sharing, who you are as a person. So tell us, how can we keep up with you? How can we find you? How can we connect with you? How can people become your clients? Tell us all.
Aww. Thank you so much, Sean. This was so fun. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm like smiling ear to ear. You can find me literally everywhere under rimshawarda.com and Rimsha Warda on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok. Trying to find my way through TikTok. Haven't quite figured it out yet. But on all social media platforms, I do in-person events and, retreats and online events. My online events are like probably the best ones. I really, really love doing them. But just my name. You put on Google it and you'll find everything.
All right. Wonderful. Love that. And for all of, are there any last, words of wisdom that you want to share or drop on our listeners?
Oh, beautiful. I am whole on my own and you are all whole on your own, and nobody can deny that at all. You truly are whole on your own.
Yes. Go all the way the fuck off.
Fuck off.
Yes, Rimsha, yes. You get it.
I need to grab that t-shirt.
Yes.
I need to also start using, but I feel like you have patented it. I love that. That's super fun.
Thank you. And yeah, there are 3 ways for you all to submit your stories and your questions. Situationspodcast.com/submit or call the hotline 312-586-2664. It's an automated hotline. Y'all keep asking me. Please stop asking me. It is not my personal number. And the last way that you can submit, if you want to submit your email, send us an email, situationspod@gmail.com. All right. So you got 3 ways to submit. Again, I highly recommend y'all submit via situationspodcast.com/submit because that one is the anonymous submission form. I won't know who the fuck sent what. All right. So yeah. Whether you're at home, on a plane, a train, a car, if you're in the 10th dimension, hey, you could be Rimsha's former colleague. You can listen to Situations podcast wherever you go. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and we're on YouTube, all that shit. Go find us. Just type in Situations podcast. Y'all know the drill. All right. And with that, I will see you all back here for the next episode in a couple of weeks. Woo!